Super happy to have you here in Kansas City today. My name's Harris Ligon, founder and CEO of Telegraph and one of your business partners. Tell me a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so Ben Hanson, I've been with WATCO for just over 4 months right now. I'm on the sales and business development side.
And now, Ben, if I remember correctly, you had a pretty good career in the railroad before coming to WATCO, right?
Right, that's really where I started out back in 2007 with the BNSF Railway. Spent about 14 years with that organization, all the way from operations and working in the finance department, and then the last 7 or 8 years, sales and marketing,
Right.
Which really kind of helped lead me into the role that I have today.
Awesome. Now, when you say operations, were you a train master as well?
Yep, train master, Lincoln, Nebraska, division out in western Nebraska then too, and then in Fort Worth.
Thinking back to your time out in operations, you're eye to eye with the customer, you're at a switch lead, you're talking to them about day-to-day operations. What are some of the big challenges that they faced as rail shippers?
We've been struggling in an industry for the last 24 months with just supply chain disruptions and just the constant, where's my freight? How do I get it there? Why are we seeing these type of issues? When you can come to the table with your customer with something else that actually, has some value and some merit and says, these are the things that we're doing, these are the tracking, this gives you the visibility to see, where your shipment might be or things before they come an issue, and you can make decisions before that. That is what they want to see. That's what makes their life a lot easier, because right now, if we can kind of mitigate that and give them some more free time back to really work on some more of their strategic items, I think there's a big value offering for them for that.
What do you think is going to change in the rail industry in the next couple of years?
Going forward is just going to be more of a viable option. The thing that I think is going to either help the rails or kind of take a back step is the way that they innovate and they use technology. And I do think that that's going to play a big part in the way that they grow and continue to expand their footprint. And a lot of that is going to be data driven. With what they have, and that data is going to basically show them, are you supplying the service that's consistent with what your customers are expecting? And I think that's the question. If they're able to answer that and to build towards that on-time delivery, the customer expectation, it'll only get better and more of a viable option for a lot of people's supply chain.
Tell me a little bit more about what the partnership between Telegraph and WATCO means for you and your role.
Having worked with your team and the analytics and the things that you guys are doing to help give us the resources to actually show this to the customer and say that, we're working in real time, trying to give you the most up-to-date information so that you can make better decisions, and so that it's going to be more cost-effective for them, and it's only going to increase the partnership, that we see on our side with our customers. So, the approach and the partnership with Telegraph, shows that they're committed to the long term and that they do have a customer-centered focus. I think at the core of what we're doing here, this is just a baseline, and then you're going to iterate and you're going to get better and better. And where that finally ends up is probably going to be a lot different than where we started.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think that's a good part of the partnership, is that the journey is only going to continue to evolve. We actually haven't talked about this specifically, but what is it like working with the Telegraph team from your perspective?
Having worked with other folks and just different customers and a lot of people in the industry, you get a broad variety of characters and things like that. And I only want to say that is because it's very, I would say, not normal to have the type of quality of people where they just generally want to hear what you have to say. They're very intent on listening on what you have to say to them, and they really want to learn more and get better, right? And it's always a pleasant conversation when we talk with your team. They want to generally understand what we're doing and how we're doing and how we can get better. And that really effectively makes your job, get better then too, because if you generally understand what we're doing, then you can understand how to adapt and change so that you can get the metrics and the analysis so that it helps us make the right decision, and we can give that information to the customer. So a very, I think, collaborative team that you have, and they're very humble. They leave their egos at the door and they just are full of questions and just very forthcoming.